Everyone. So earlier today, the Los Angeles Lakers signed forward Louis Keene. Now, Louis Keene is a guy that he did play for Philadelphia briefly last season, and we'll dive into that here in a moment. But he became a unrestricted free agent back in July when Philadelphia decided not to give him the qualifying offer. He worked out for a couple teams, the Celtics included, and Keene ended up signing with the Lakers. His contract was finalized, and right now it doesn't seem to be a clear distinction as to where he's at least at the time of recording this video, right? Like some articles say that it's assuming it's an Exhibit 10 deal. He will be eligible for a bonus up to $75K if he spends at least 60 days with the South Bay Lakers. Some articles say that it's just for the South Bay Lakers, and then some here say the signing will bring the Lakers offseason roster to 18 players. LA has 14 fully guaranteed contracts and all three of its two-way slots filled. So again, a lot of people are asking that question of like, hey, what's going on? Is he going to be with just solely the G League team? Did they use him for a full actual roster spot? Because the Lakers do have a open roster spot. But it doesn't look, and I would assume, again, just assuming at this time, until we get some actual information. I tried to wait a little bit to see if maybe it would come out. So far, again, at least at the time of recording this, we have nothing, and it's been a couple hours. So looking at it, right, the Lakers recently waived Vincent Villarreal, Damian Baugh, and then Scottie Pippen Jr. So this is a guy that I would imagine that they are bringing in and will have, kind of like maybe that back and forth. I think that he's a guy that the Lakers just want to kind of get a look at and kind of just see what can he do. This guy was a G League MVP. He's 24 years old, so he kind of fits the mold that the Lakers like, that more older, refined, kind of experienced guy. 6'7" in height. He's got a good wingspan. I believe it's like 6'10", somewhere in that ballpark. And he's a guy that can go get buckets. He has shot 39%, which, again, is a welcoming addition for the Lakers. And the one sort of game... he did play almost 30 minutes, right? So he played for Philadelphia. He played in 29 minutes, and he had a whopping 20 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal in that 29 minutes of play. He shot 61.5% from the field. He was 8 of 13 overall. And then from three-point range, he shot exactly 50%. He took 8 attempts and knocked down 4 of those 10, which, again... like, that's what you would hope for, right, from a guy in limited minutes. He's a guy that can be a legit two-way guy, and that's what the Lakers are kind of banking on. So originally his first stint was with the Detroit Pistons, in which he played 10 games with. Nothing really to write home about. He averaged 2 points, and he only played about 6 minutes. But the, 2 years in which we have, you could say, a sample size of Keene, was he played with Sacramento in the 2020-2021 season. He played 6 games, 14.2 minutes, and he averaged 7 points, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and 1.2 steals, along with half a block, which is excellent and minimal time for the Sacramento Kings. And then followed that up the following year, 2021-2022, again with Sacramento, played in 10 games, averaged 10 minutes per game, and then he gave you about 4.5 points in that time. So, this is a guy that realistically, you figure if he does play for the Lakers at all, it's going to be in a limited role. He probably plays 10 minutes a game average, right? And so in that 10 minutes of playtime, he's probably giving you anywhere from 5 to 7 points, right? Like that's what your hope is. This is a guy that is around 36% for his career. Again, a very small sample size. The total amount of games he's played in the NBA is only 27, right? And he's only started 1 game, and he's averaged about 10.5 minutes of playing time, and in that time, he's averaged 5 points. So that's where I come to the conclusion of like, okay, if he gets about 10 minutes a game average, he's going to give you around 5 points per game. He's also a excellent rebounder for his size, but this to me is more of the mold of like the upside, low risk, high reward type young player that can come in, kind of be a part of the core, floats around the G League, comes around to the NBA roster. They kind of float back and forth, but don't get too high on him, right? Don't get too excited on Louis Keene and think like, oh, this is a guy, Lakers, he's going to be on this roster for a long time. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a building block for the Lakers in the future and all that stuff. Because if they did sign him to an actual roster, like using a roster spot, which my guess is that they had to, right? Because they have their two-way guys locked up, and I believe they have their actual like G League roster spots all filled, unless they got rid of somebody or I'm mistaken and they have an open roster spot. So we'll see. This could just be an Exhibit 10 contract, where maybe he just plays tomorrow and that's it. Because the Lakers play the Phoenix Suns tomorrow, so they might just be bringing him in just for that. Again, most of the articles and the reports of this all say it's likely an Exhibit 10. Not saying that it is, because we don't know. We don't have any concrete information, at least at the time of this recording. And at the time I'm recording this, it's 8 p.m. So that means it's been over 2 hours and they still haven't released a definitive answer, which one I think is kind of odd, right? Because you would think that like there would be some sort of information by now. But it is an official signing. Like, this isn't just like news or, a rumor or something like that. No, the Lakers have made it official. This is an official signing. Even Jovan Buha, like 5 minutes ago, confirmed that it is an actual signing. So, take that as you may. I like him as a player. I think he's a guy that has some real promise, could come in, especially if he could shoot 36, 37%. Like I said, he had himself quite a game in Philly. Again, it was one game, but still, this guy was drafted in 2019, or was part of the draft in 2019. Sorry, he wasn't drafted. But, he's had experience the last, 4 years, gotten minimal time, minimal run. He's been a very good player in the G League. Not saying that they all translate well, right? We've seen plenty of guys just dominate the G League, come to an actual NBA roster, and they're not able to hold up. But this is a guy that comes from, a good college background in Oregon, right? Has been in some nice little stints. He's a great defensive player. Like, he's hard-nosed, can get after it, can be a legit two-way guy, right? There's teams that were clamoring over this guy back in 2019 and even the last few years when he became that free agent. Celtics were really looking at him hard, and now the Lakers have been able to kind of grab him and hopefully use him as like a building block, right? He's not a guy, like, don't expect him to be a guy that comes in and earns rotation minutes, anything heavily, right? He's not the guy that's coming in to like where the Lakers are looking at it like, Max Christie and Cam Reddish haven't looked great, so let's go get this guy. It's not going to be anything like that, right? My guess is either he's solely going to the G League or he's going to end up being an Exhibit 10 guy, and we're just not going to see him after this. But if the Lakers can keep him, right, if the Lakers do decide to keep him around for a little bit, I'm totally game for that. Like, I'm totally okay with that. I think he's a guy that could be a nice piece for the Lakers for the long haul over the foreseeable future. It could be one of those things where they keep him on the roster until they find something better. Right? You bring him in, you kind of just have him as like a placeholder. And if you don't get anything better at like the trade deadline, or maybe use him as salary filler for a trade at some point, or, the buyout market, if somebody doesn't become available that makes sense, then you just kind of keep him, right? Like, that could definitely be an option. That could be something that the Lakers are looking at. Like, okay, we got this young guy now. If nothing better comes along, then we'll just ride with this guy. We can keep him now, give him an opportunity, see how he looks, and then maybe have him as a more long-term piece going forward. right? Like, I don't hate that idea at all. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think of this signing? Do you think it's an Exhibit 10? Do you think it's a actual free agency signing? Do you think it's just like it's a signing, but it's just going to be a placeholder? Would you like the Lakers to keep this guy? I mean, again, you can't have too many 6'7" defensive 3-and-D style wings, right? Like he's a guy that at worst is a development guy that can kind of build and grow under the Lakers system. I'm totally okay with that too, right? Not every guy has to come in and be necessarily a superstar or anything. But again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. However you feel, let me know down in the comments below.